Today we're going to look at feed and relationships in ecosystems. I'm sure you remember food chains and food webs from Key Stage 3. What does a food chain actually tell us? Food chains show us the feed and relationships within an ecosystem. All food chains start with a producer, and this is almost always a plant. So plants use the energy of sunlight to produce glucose. This then gets built up into all the other materials that the plant needs, making up what we call the plant biomass. And it's this biomass that is the store of energy for other organisms in the food chain. Another important thing to remember is what the arrows represent. They show the movement of energy through the food chain, and so they always go from the thing that's been eaten to the thing that is doing the eating. It's much easier to think of them as energy arrows, because then you can think about energy flowing through the food chain. Food webs give us a much better idea of the feed and relationships within an ecosystem, and a food web is simply made of lots of food chains linked together. The words at the bottom of the slide are words that you've probably come across before. Just stop for a moment and see if you can label all the different organisms in that food web using those words. In an earlier lesson we talked about the fact that organisms don't just depend on one another, but they also depend on the physical environment in which they live. Now, communities tend to be fairly stable, but changes in biotic living or abiotic non-living factors can have a huge impact. And the task you're going to do on the next slide looks at this in a bit more detail.